Hello, I'm Fire Commissioner Lloyd Ayers, and I'd like to welcome you to Freedom from Fire, where we bring you interesting subjects by many leaders and very important people here in the Delaware Valley. We like to bring this information to you so that you can stay safe in your homes. And I have a very nice show for you today. Right now, I'm going to talk about our very present condition, which is wintertime. It's coming fast. We want to make sure that everyone do all of the things that they need to do to stay safe. This is when we spend a lot of time inside of our homes, indoors, in the apartments, and we have the opportunity to have people problems. We like to talk about how fires start. Most of the time it's men, women, and children. But we can take care of that just by changing our behavior and making sure that we're safe in our environments and we remove those hazards that are in our environments. We like to say you should sit on the seat of safety, and that is one, the first leg, making sure that you have smoke alarms, lithium-powered smoke alarms, 10-year lithium-powered smoke alarms, battery-powered smoke alarms will make sure that you stay safe, one on every level. You have to test them, make sure that you test them weekly so that you can keep your family safe. Then you want to make sure that you sit your family down and have that very important time with them where you discuss a home escape plan. Very important. Then you have to practice that plan at least twice a year so that your family can get out just in case something breaks down in their environment. The next thing that you can have, and we believe is the most important thing, is to get that home fire safety checklist. That home fire safety checklist lists about 30 different areas in 6 different particular areas that you can keep your family safe. Things like electricity, heating in the home, candles, things like that, so that you can go down that checklist and check yes or no. If you check no, that means that you've got work to do or a project to set up so that your family can be safe. Then lastly, we ask our citizens to take the pledge and pledge that they'll do all of these things with this great information that we have for you. Tonight, I'd like to talk with you about a variety of different subjects, but I'm going to bring a very important person on the scene now, and that is Deputy Chief Richard Bailey. He's got a lot of time in with the Philadelphia Fire Department. He's been a mentor of mine for such a long time, from a distance and then up close and personal, working in Fire Code Unit. So would you tell our audience just a little bit about yourself, Chief?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner, for having me. I started out in the fire department, as all of us have, as a firefighter. As I got promoted, I worked in different areas of the city, in different jobs. I spent some time in fire prevention. But for the past 23 years, I've been in the Fire Code Unit. The Fire Code Unit is responsible for the city's fire code. That is a code of fire safety requirements to keep businesses and homeowners safe. So I have found it a very enjoyable, tasking, and interesting job, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be in the unit and happy to be here tonight to share some of the requirements from the fire code with you.
Well, very interesting, but you say it kind of lightly. You write the fire code, and I'd like for you to tell people a little bit about the fire code, what it is.
Well, the fire code is a collection of fire safety requirements. They are not recommendations, they are laws. They are passed by City Council, signed by the mayor into law. I happen to have the current edition of our fire code with me, and I'm trying to make a point. This is the latest edition of the fire code. You can see it is a fairly large 3-ring binder. Over the years, things have become more complicated, with more equipment, with more things that heat, with more fire. Requirements have grown in the code. This code will deal with homes, such as smoke alarms, candles, wiring, to large industries, chemical plants, hazardous materials. It addresses all of the fire safety requirements throughout the city. In the early 1950s, The current mayor at that time required that the fire department put together a fire code. There were fire safety requirements, but they were not in a booklet. This is the first one. So it's interesting to see that this came out in 1952.
Wow.
No larger than a comic book. Today, because the world has become, and our city has become more complicated, the book has grown. So there are many requirements, and they address all aspects of fire safety in the home and in businesses.
Excellent. Now, let's talk about the newest law that we have in our fire code, and that is the smoke alarm law. We got pressed into service a little while ago, back in November. So let's talk about that. How important is that?
Well, many years ago, the fire department they amended the fire code and they required smoke alarms in homes. Now, that's in addition to fire alarm systems in apartment buildings, but in homes, that is where we have our most fire deaths. So we required smoke alarms. The batteries in there lasted for 1 year. And as you know, the fire department keeps statistics. And we found that in many cases, people do not maintain those batteries. We have found in over 50% of the cases where there's been a fire in a home that either the battery was missing or the batteries were dead.
Yes.
So you and City Council wanted to address the problem. We did research. We found that there are on the market smoke alarms that take a 10-year non-removable battery. So this means the homeowner installs it. It's a one-time installation. It lasts for 10 years. The battery comes with it. There's no removing it. There's no replacing of the batteries for the life of the smoke alarm, which is 10 years.
That is fantastic. Absolutely. Now, in 2009, we had a law that was introduced that was very important to homeowners as well.
Yes.
Especially when you have fossil fuels like oil burners, wood stoves, things like that. And that was, of course, the carbon monoxide alarm, which is, I'm just so proud of everything that was done to get that forward. City Council, the work that you did, the work that we did as a fire service here in the city of Philadelphia. And now, when people don't think about carbon monoxide as much, they didn't think about it. They thought about fires. And now with the carbon monoxide alarms, we see that it's saving lives.
Yes.
So want to talk about that? 2009, right?
Yes, that's correct. This is a sample battery-powered smoke alarm. I mean, a carbon monoxide alarm, excuse me. It looks like a smoke alarm. Back in around 2005, the fire department began keeping statistics on the number of calls we received for carbon monoxide. And we found that they were increasing every year. And many people don't realize how dangerous carbon monoxide is. It's tasteless, colorless, odorless, so you don't know that it's present. As the commissioner mentioned, almost anything that burns will produce, as part of that combustion process, carbon monoxide. Such things as your heater, your fireplace, your wood-burning stove, they all produce carbon monoxide. And if everything is functioning properly, there's no problems. But if there is a malfunction, then that carbon monoxide can spread throughout the house. And since you can't smell it, you can be overcome. There are symptoms, but if you're sleeping at the time, there's no way it doesn't cause you to gag, to wake up.
No.
You just go into a deeper sleep, and eventually, if you can stay asleep, you will eventually die.
Yes.
So, what you and City Council recognized was we needed to do something. We again amended the fire code in 2009 to require these smoke alarms. They can be battery operated, plug-in, or hardwired, and one in each home in the vicinity of the bedrooms, so that if carbon monoxide spreads throughout your house for whatever reason, this will alarm, wake you up, and give you an opportunity to react and get out of the house.
Absolutely. Now, speaking about the home heaters, oil burners, etc., you want to talk about how important it is to have them serviced and the other things that we have to do with home heaters?
Yes. With winter season upon us, it's important that before a heater is used, that people have them checked out. Have a service person come, look at the heater, make sure it's functioning properly, make sure that the flue, which is the piece from the heater into the chimney, and the chimney are functioning properly. There's no holes, there's no loose parts, the chimney's not damaged, because if any of those things are present, then that carbon monoxide that we're hoping will be drawn out through the flue and up through the chimney will seep throughout the house and harm people. So it's important that they have them checked out before they start the heating season.
Exactly, and we find that so many times in our community where someone was actually injured to the hospital because of carbon monoxide, and we've had deaths. And the kerosene heaters, they're very important. It's very important that we treat them the same way, with care, making sure that adults do the filling of the kerosene heater, things like that, take it outside to fill it up, and the important number, 3 feet.
Yes.
3 feet from all combustibles.
Yes.
So that's part of what we teach our citizens now, making sure that they do those things. And the storage of the kerosene outside.
Yes.
All right, that's something that we have to make sure that we reinforce. And it's an adult issue here. It's not for children. You don't teach your child how to set up the kerosene heater. It's an adult activity. So it's very important that we talk about that. Also the pets, making sure that pets steer clear. They're curious, and we see pets have been burned and injured or knocked over kerosene heaters and candles, as a matter of fact. One of the other things we want to make sure is we talk just a little bit about code requirements with the kerosene heaters. 3 feet away.
Yes, that's very
Curtains.
important, because the kerosene heaters get very hot. That's a plus. They keep your room warm. We generally recommend that you only use them if you have an area in your home. They're not permitted in apartment buildings because of the danger if a fire occurs spreading throughout the apartment complex and harming people. So they're only permitted in 1 and 2 family dwellings. But if you're using them, you need to use them safely. The commissioner mentioned those things. What happens many times, to get the most heat, they will move them close to bedding, a chair, something like that. All those things are combustible. And if you don't maintain that 3 feet, eventually the bedding or the chair will ignite in fire, and a fire will occur in the bedroom.
Now, what about cooking appliances?
Cooking appliances, even though we use them on a regular basis, they can be very dangerous. People need to know how to do it safely, such as the clothing you're wearing. It shouldn't be flowing very thin. It should be tight-fitting around your arms, so as you reach over to put your hand, like stir something in a pot, your sleeve won't be ignited. Also, people have to realize that if there's a fire, they need to have a lid from a pot ready. Each pot or pan that they use, they should have a lid that fits that in the event of an emergency. The handles of the pots and the pans, especially the pans, should be turned inward away from the outside.
That's to make sure the children don't grab those handles and turn over hot liquids or anything on top of them. One of the key things that we always talk about with the code is making sure that we practice fire safety every day. And that's a very important thing. And I think you have a motto. What is the code unit's motto?
Read the code, know the code, live the code.
And that's what we do as firefighters, and you should do too as citizens. And I really appreciate you coming out and having this very informative chat with me today and making sure that the citizens know the importance of the Fire Code Unit and the things that you do. So I just want to wrap it up, and anything that you want to tell the citizens in a few seconds?
Fire safety has to become a daily practice, just as you brush your teeth or take a shower. You need to practice it every day, and it will become part of what you do, and you'll have a safer life.
Well, thank you so much. We have a few commercials right now, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Commissioner Lloyd Ayers with the Philadelphia Fire Department. And I'm joined by Mr. Cal Rudman, philanthropist and president of the Cal and Lucille Rudman Foundation. Also, honorary fire commissioner of the Philadelphia Fire Department. Together with Drexel University's Antoinette Westphal College of Media Arts and Design, we are able to present to you the Philadelphia Fire Safety App. This app can be accessed through your desktop or laptop computer. But what's really convenient is you can get it on your smartphone. This app is loaded with useful information covering a vast array of subjects relevant to you and anyone who has ever had a question about the Philadelphia Fire Department or emergency services they can provide. Let me tell you about some of the features on the app. There's a fire safety checklist, a list of over 25 questions that help you check to see if your home or apartment is safe. There's an emergency preparedness section dealing with tornadoes, hurricanes, terrorism, and even earthquakes. There's a dorm safety section. This gives you general information about safe dorm living and what you should be thinking about should the fire alarm sound in your building. There's a section about the emergency services that the fire department provides, along with EMS and CPR tips, and a very handy hospital locator. The Red Cross entry can give you immediate, on-the-spot, step-by-step treatments for common first aid emergencies. And don't think our information app doesn't consider every member of the family. There's even an entry for and about your pets. Today, I'm just giving you a snippet of what you will find with our new fire safety app. What I really enjoy telling you is it's all free. Cal, you've been pretty patient. What would you like to tell our friends?
Hey, fire safety app, stay alive with that.
That's right, Cal. To get the new fire safety app, go to freedomfromfire.com/FSapp. Again, that's freedomfromfire.com/FSapp. And oh yeah, did I tell you it's free?
Well, I heard that.
Welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I'm Fire Commissioner Lloyd Ayers. And in this second segment, I have with me one of the very important people that populate many of the blocks all over our city, and they are our fire safety representatives. And today, I'm privileged to have with me Mr. Harvey Purvic. Mr. Purvic is a licensed electrical contractor, and he's going to talk to us about a few things today. He has some special instrumentation that he uses in his occupation, and we're going to find out about that in just a moment. But first of all, I'd like to thank you for taking on the responsibility of being a fire safety representative. Now, fire safety representative, how do you like it? And let's talk a little bit about what that person actually does.
I like it very much because it's helping the people in the community. It's an important job. Fire safety is important that every community should be involved in. So I like that job a lot.
Excellent. Now, was it a tough thing signing up, or was it easy? Have you had an opportunity to meet our officers in the community?
I haven't met many of the officers in the community, but I have talked to people in my local community about fire safety, encouraging them to get smoke detectors and things of that nature. Got some response, and some people we still need to work on.
Absolutely. We find it all of the time, but we've been persistent in the fire department. We've knocked on those doors. We go back and we knock again until everybody understands, one, the importance of fire safety, and then two, making sure that they have their smoke alarms, that they're practicing all of those good practices from the fire safety checklist. It's just good stuff. So we appreciate having you as a representative for the fire department out there.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
You've had a chance to interact with our fire prevention division, Harvey Purvic, Lieutenant Perez?
Yes.
Okay, now you get emails and everything,
Yes,
is that
I do.
right?
Yes, emails all the time about safety tips, and when I get those emails, I often print them out and give them to people in the community.
Oh, that's very good, and that's spreading that message, making sure that people are staying safe. Now, you have some pretty interesting objects here. You want to explain those? What do you do with those?
Well, being an electrician, we always test for safety of the outlets. This is called a tension tester. We'll plug this into the outlet. If we pull it out and it reads a certain measurement here, we know that that outlet is safe. If it's read too low, then we know it's unsafe, and your cord will sag, and that'll create a loose connection and cause a fire. Okay. So we always test for our outlets to make sure they're nice and tight to prevent fires there.
Oh, that's great. It's the first time I ever saw one of those.
Yeah.
Now, what about this other instrument?
This next instrument is actually a thermal laser. We'll point this laser at the wall surface, and if it reads about 80 degrees or so, we'll point it at the outlet. If that spikes up really high, we know there might be a loose connection there, especially if there's nothing running in the outlet, to cause that to be a big temperature difference, and we'll go fix that loose connection to prevent a fire from starting. It's a very good tool.
Very interesting. Yes. Now, when you stop and think about that, we always tell our citizens that cords, extension cords, running them under rugs and things like that will cause them to heat up. Yes. Because we always say extension cords breathe. They need to be able to be open and in the open air so that they can let off that heat. So that would be able to detect a situation like that?
You'd be able to tell if that has higher heat than the surface surrounding it, and then we know we have a problem there.
Okay. Now what about the third instrument?
And this final instrument is a shore tester. It's a circuit analyzer. We plug this into your receptacle, and we hit a few buttons here. We can test ground fault. We can test your arc fault breakers. We can also test for high resistance and loose connections. And this will tell us too where heat may not be there, but loose connections produces heat and high resistance, and this tester will help us pick that up ahead of time to prevent fires.
That's very important. Yes. Now, that's not something you're going to find at your local home improvement store.
No, not at all.
All right. And also the importance that we need the audience to take away from this situation is, one, it's good to have a professional to test your circuits.
Yes.
Now, we find a lot of people, they'll go up to the home improvement stores, they even put their own outlets in, things like that. We recommend that they go to a professional always.
Absolutely. It's important because even with putting in outlets, there's a certain torque rating to tighten that screw, a certain rating. If you don't tighten it right, you still have a loose connection. If you over tighten the screw, you still have a high resistance, which can cause a fire as well.
I think people don't really understand that.
Right.
Well, we like to ask our citizens to take a pledge, and that pledge actually kind of seals the deal, actuates the plan, smoke alarms, home escape planning, making sure that they use the home fire safety checklist, and then finally the pledge to make sure that they're sitting on that seat of safety. So would you help me to give our citizens the pledge?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to raise our right hands. I love my family and I am responsible for their safety. Therefore, I pledge to have at least one working smoke alarm on each level of my home. I pledge to test the battery once each week and replace it or the smoke alarm as needed. I pledge that every family member will sleep with their bedroom door closed. I pledge to develop and practice a home escape plan. I pledge that if I cannot afford smoke alarms, I will contact the smoke alarm hotline by calling 311. All this I solemnly pledge. Thank you, Mr. Harvey Purvic. It's a pleasure.
And thank you for having me,
Good to meet
Commissioner.
you, and thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
for being a part of Freedom from Fire.
Thank you.
One of the things that we talk about, Harvey, is just making sure that we do the right thing in our homes, making sure that we follow up with the firefighters going into, well, now, not only do they have the firehouse, but they have a fire safety representative, a person who wanted to be a good citizen. You have your regular vocation, but you saw that it was very important to knock on those doors and talk to your neighbors, and we are very thankful for that. So I'd like to say to you, again, thank you for being a part of Freedom from Fire.
Thank you for the privilege.
All right, just stand by for a minute, guys.
Hello, my name is Lloyd Ayers. I'm Fire Commissioner for the City of Philadelphia, and I'd like to welcome you to Freedom from Fire. Here at Freedom from Fire, we share with our audience all types of information from leaders here in the region and very important people that service you in the Delaware Valley, sometimes behind the scenes, but often up front and personal, and making sure that you get all of the information that you need so that you can stay free from fire. Freedom from Fire is our overarching program, which contains so many other programs here in the city of Philadelphia. I have some excellent guests here for you today. I'd like to introduce them to you in just a moment, but first I'd like to talk about what Freedom from Fire is all about. We talk about each and every family, each and every person being able to sit on the seat of safety. And that seat of safety has 4 very important legs to it. And the first one is smoke alarms, making sure that you have 10-year lithium-powered smoke alarms in your home, 1 on every level. And you want to make sure that you test those smoke alarms weekly so that you and your family can be safe just in case something breaks out in your environment. That second leg of the stool, of course, is none other than sitting down with your family and practicing a home escape plan. You draw up that home escape plan, you make sure that each and every person knows what they should do just in case a fire breaks out or something else happens in your home where you need to get out of the home right away. So you need to practice that and make sure that everyone knows what the plan is. That third seat of safety is the most important one that we believe, and that is the home fire safety checklist. That home fire safety checklist has about 30 individual items in about 6 different areas where you can do a self-assessment of your family, your home, make sure that you have all of the things checked off yes that are important, that will get the hazard out of the way and prevent the fire from happening in the beginning. So that home fire safety checklist, you go down the list. You may have something about heating. You may have something on candles. You may have something on electricity that you'll have to pay close attention to in order to take it out of your home as a hazard. Sometimes they're just behavioral things like smoking. Take it outside. That way you can be assured that you won't drop a hot ash someplace that could start a fire and cause havoc in your home. And that last leg is, of course, our fire safety pledge. And you'll hear a little bit more about that later. You take that pledge to say that you care for your family and that you'll do all of these things that we have for you. Those firefighters, our firefighters that come out into the community, we have our fire safety representatives. They give you great information, but it doesn't mean a thing unless you take an action and make sure that you do the things that's necessary to keep you and your family safe. So right now, I'd like to introduce a very important person, my first guest tonight.